Gather round, courtside junkies and lovers of a dark horse revolution, we are back in business. Listen, this isn't some run-of-the-mill post-game analysis. Forget the leaderboards. We are dissecting a singular flashpoint that just sent tremors through the entire sport. An event that transformed the dusty red clay of Manacor into ground zero for a digital hurricane. Unless you have been living under a rock. For the past 48 hours, your feed has been hijacked. You have witnessed the clips. You have stared at the snapshots. The Rafa Nadal Academy dropped the bomb, and the engagement metrics didn't just climb, they went vertical in mere minutes. We are looking at view counts in the millions and share buttons getting smashed thousands of times, all fueling a comment section that has gone completely off the rails. But to call this a surprise, that is the understatement of the millennium. This isn't a shock, it is an evolution. And I am not talking about caps and gowns. We covered that ceremony in 2023. No, this is the metamorphosis from apprentice to apex predator. The clip in question features 20-year-old Filipino phenom Alexandra Eala'S riding the high of a history-making 2025 run, where she cracked the top 50, slayed titans at the Miami Open, and brought home Southeast Asian gold. Now locking horns with the king of clay himself, Rafael Nadal. We have all watched Rafa volley with cadets before. It is a standard ritual on those courts. Typically, it is a polite exchange, the master entertaining the pupil, lobbing easy balls to a jittery teenager. This was war. The footage, breaking the internet, displays a ferocity that caught the entire globe flat-footed. Eala'S is out there ripping forehands loaded with enough topspin to mimic the man standing opposite her. And across the net, Rafa isn't taking a light jog. He is scrambling. We see the 22-time Grand Slam legend halting hands, resting on his hips, staring down this young challenger, not with the gaze of a mentor, but with the respect of a rival. The text below the post read, "A memory that will last forever." But the unspoken message roared a whole lot louder. It declared that the Academy's most prized export has come back to the nest. She didn't return to take notes. She came to demonstrate her power. Why did this blow up? Why does one training session eclipse 100 others? Because, folks, the backstory is the secret sauce. We are watching a warrior who, mere years ago, stepped onto that campus as a timid 12-year-old from the Philippines, a nation without a tennis dynasty. She walked away from her kin. She left her sanctuary. She traded her adolescence for the grind on that Spanish dirt. And now, she marches back in as a legitimate Grand Slam contender. The web is melting down because the narrative is pure poetry. The Titan in his twilight facing the rising phoenix. The stills of them cracking up, the heated exchanges at the net, where Rafa is furiously dissecting a forehand mechanic. This isn't just social media fodder, it is the torch being passed in real time. And let's be honest about the shock factor here. The staff, the trainers, even Rafa, they knew she had talent. They engineered her game, after all. But no one predicted the savagery she unleashed in Manacor this winter. She didn't fly in for a reunion, she flew in to clock in. The shot speed, the footwork, the psychological armor. It is obvious that the 2025 season forged her into something new. Taking down Iga Świątek in Miami changed her. Smashing into the top 50 changed her. This video is blowing up for one reason. It's tangible proof that the dream is real and the system actually delivers. But look closer, and you'll see a warning shot fired across the bow of the entire WTA Tour. Eala'S isn't asking for permission anymore. She's finished with the up-and-coming label. She is here to take over, so strap yourselves in. We are about to dissect this footage frame by agonizing frame. We're decoding the masterclass technical tweaks Rafa was drilling into her game. We're going to rewind through the absolute madness of her 2025 season that made this meeting possible. From the heartbreak in Eastbourne to the glory in Miami and that historic run, we're covering the stats, the mental warfare, and what comes next. This is the comprehensive breakdown you have been begging for. It's the tale of how Eala'S stunned the Academy, won over the King of Clay, and put the whole tennis world on high alert. Let's dive right in. First, we have to examine Exhibit A, the video that sparked this absolute wildfire. Dropped late at night European time, it looked like just another routine practice reel at first glance. But don't be fooled. The magic is hiding in the subtleties. The first thing that hits you is the audio. Shut your eyes for a second and really listen. The sound of the ball exploding off Eala'S racket is a completely different beast compared to 2 years ago. It's got more weight. It penetrates the court. And in the video, she's going toe-to-toe trading cross-court forehands with Nadal himself. Now, for those of you who don't know the game, rallying with Rafael Nadal on dirt is the tennis equivalent of fighting Mike Tyson inside a telephone booth. The sheer violence of the spin he creates, those RPMs, typically, kicks the ball way up above your shoulders, which is a nightmare for a smaller player to handle. But watch Eala closely. She refuses to give up an inch of ground. And that right there is the shock factor we mentioned in the title. In the past, clips from the Academy showed her camped out 2 or 3 meters behind the baseline, just trying to survive the heavy hitting. In this viral clip, she is glued to that baseline. She's attacking the ball early on the rise, leveraging her own southpaw edge. Don't forget, she's a lefty, just like Rafa, which helps neutralize those wicked cross-court angles. There's a crucial split second around the 15-second mark where Rafa sends a high, looping ball deep to her backhand wing. Eala steps forward, slices through the court geometry, and blasts a winner straight down the line. The camera swings to Rafa, and he just freezes. He nods. He cracks a smile. And folks, that single nod is worth more than 1,000 hours of paid coaching. That is the ultimate seal of approval. Then, the footage jumps to a chat at the net. This is the part where the internet detectives lost their minds. We see Rafa getting animated with his hands. He's miming a follow-through motion, pointing specifically to his hip rotation. Alex later confirmed in an interview that the legend was tweaking the mechanics of her forehand drive. But we need to ask why. Eala'S forehand has always been her biggest gun, that lasso whip style that mirrors Rafa's own. However, during her Grand Slam exits in 2025, we saw that shot crumble a bit when the heat was on. It started flattening out too much. Rafa likely spotted this and stepped in to help her dial in that margin of error, that extra 10% of heavy topspin that keeps the ball inside the lines even when your nerves are absolutely fried. The still photos dropped alongside the video tell just as powerful a story. There's one frame of them chilling on the bench, towels around their necks, just cracking up together. It's a massive departure from the usually strict, military-style discipline of the Academy. It signals a fundamental shift in the power dynamic. She isn't just a pupil anymore, she's a peer. She is a top 50 athlete. She has earned her spot on that bench. This clip didn't go viral just because of the famous faces. It blew up because it represents validation. For the Filipino faithful, witnessing their champion treated like an equal by the king of clay hits different. It is pure emotional gold. For the pundits breaking down the game, however, it is the stuff of nightmares. Imagine a southpaw prodigy, forged in Nadal's fire, and now sharpening her blade under his personal watch just as she hits her peak. To truly grasp the voltage behind this meetup, we need to spin the reels back to the 2025 season. That was the moment the script got flipped completely. Entering 2025, Alex was drifting outside the top 100, trapped in that unforgiving limbo between tours. She was dominating the minor leagues, but could not catch a break when it came to stacking victories on the big stage. The doubters were already starting to murmur in the shadows. Was she just another burnout prodigy, lacking the size? And then the Miami Sunshine hit. The 2025 Miami Open is destined for the history books as the Manacor Miracle. Eala slipped in via wildcard, looking like the sacrificial lamb on paper for every single round. Then the switch flipped. First, she took down Katie Volinets, a clean, professional job. Next, she stunned Jelena Ostapenko, somehow weathering the Latvian's legendary heavy hitting to pull off a giant upset. She silenced the home crowd by dismantling Madison Keys, an absolute titan on American hard courts. Then came the quarterfinals, the showdown that surely had Rafa Nadal glued to his screen back in Mallorca, Alexandra Eala versus Iga Świątek. The storylines surrounding this clash were thick enough to cut with a knife. Świątek was the world number 2, a 5-time major winner. And get this, the VIP guest at Alex's own graduation ceremony. Just 2 years earlier, Iga was literally on stage celebrating alongside Alex as caps flew in the air. Now, the pleasantries were gone. replaced by a ruthless war at the net for a semifinal ticket. Eala did not just secure a victory, she shredded the script, playing with ice in her veins. She closed it out 6-2, 7-5. History was made, the first Filipino to topple a top 5 giant and crack the final 4 of a WTA 1000 event. Rafa Nadal wasted no time hitting social media. We are extremely proud of you, Alex. What an incredible tournament. Let's keep dreaming. That digital message was the initial spark. But this reunion footage, that is a blazing inferno. However, 2025 was not just blue skies. We cannot ignore the heartbreak at Eastbourne, that gut-wrenching final loss to Maya Joint, where Eala actually held championship points. The trophy was practically in her hands, and it slipped away. Seeing her break down in tears during the presentation was absolutely crushing to watch. Yet, who stepped up first to lift her chin? Rafa. He publicly declared it was merely the first final of many finals. That backstory matters. The Academy has ridden the roller coaster with her, from the dizzying peaks of Miami to the crushing valleys of Eastbourne. So when she walked back through those doors this winter, shocking everyone with her sharpness, it was the return of a battle-hardened soldier wearing her scars with pride. We need to address the elephant in the room, the Rafa Nadal Academy itself. You might watch that viral clip and see a casual rally, but you are actually witnessing a powerhouse institution at work. Alex Eala packed her bags for Spain when she was just 12 years old. Can you even fathom the mental weight of a decision like that? Trading the tropical warmth, home cooking, and family love of the Philippines for a strict dormitory in Manacor, where perfection is the minimum requirement. This trending moment proves their system works. They are not just coaching technique, they are teaching the art of suffering. Nadal's entire ethos is built on one thing. How much pain can you withstand between the lines? Zoom in on Eala'S footwork in that clip. Even on empty, she makes those micro adjustments. Chop, chop, chop. That is the Academy trademark. That is the voice of Tony Nadal echoing in her subconscious. It is the payoff from thousands of grueling hours where quitting was never on the table. The staff wasn't shocked by her skill. They knew she had it, but by the terrifying speed of her evolution. Usually, climbing from the junior circuit to the top 50 is a grueling 3 to 4 year slog. Eala, she smashed that timeline in just 18 months of solid, injury-free tennis. And we have to talk about the Southpaw secret sauce. It is literally what this academy is built on. I mean, you are looking at the house that Rafa, the Southpaw goat, built. Just look at Casper Ruud, another alum with a forehand heavy enough to crush rocks. But Eala is the system's perfect female prototype, a lefty with a rock-solid two-hander who dictates play with that forehand. When you frame by frame her next to Rafa in this footage, the biomechanics aren't just similar, they are terrifying. That wrist snap, the lasso finish over the head, she is virtually a mirror image of the king himself. Now, let's dissect why this headline went absolutely nuclear online. What sparked the explosion? Simple, the Philippine market. We are talking about arguably the most fiercely online, passionate fan base on the planet. Usually, Alex just breathing is enough to trend in Manila, but this broke containment and hit the global tennis mainstream. Then you add the Rafa nostalgia factor. It is 2026. The man is effectively retired, barely picking up a racket. So seeing him back on the clay, looking fit, and absolutely ripping forehands, that is pure dopamine for a fan base, starving for one last hit of greatness. Watching him transfer that wisdom to Eala turns her into a living vessel for all that nostalgia. They are desperate for her to win because in her swing, a piece of Rafa lives on. Then there is the next-gen narrative. The women's game is currently overrun by baseline bashers. Eala brings a completely different flavor, tactical, spin-loaded, and left-handed. The world is craving variety, and the comment sections are screaming it loud and clear. You scroll down and see Spanish, English, Tagalog, French, all saying the same thing. She plays exactly like him. The heir apparent. Rafa looking like a proud dad. That kind of engagement isn't just likes, it is currency. That translates to sponsorship deals, wildcard entries, and primetime slots on center court. By shocking the Academy and manufacturing this viral storm, Eala just leveled up from national icon to global superstar. Before we close out this deep dive, I need you to take one last good look at that thumbnail. Check out the grin on Rafael Nadal's face as he watches Alexandra Eala. That isn't just a snapshot. That is a receipt. It is payment in full for every lonely night spent staring at a dorm room ceiling. It is the payoff for every missed birthday, every skipped Christmas, and every tear shed after a brutal loss at some dusty ITF court in Tunisia or Thailand. It is validation for the massive risk her parents took when they put their little girl on a plane halfway around the world with nothing but a tennis bag and a dream. The headlines claim the Academy was surprised, but if you ask me, the only people shocked are the ones who haven't been watching closely. Alexandra. Eala has been engineering this exact moment since the first time she gripped a handle. She has downloaded the Rafa DNA. She understands that suffering is just the price of admission. She has learned the golden rule: respect everybody, but fear absolutely nobody, not the world number one, and definitely not the history books. So as we stare down the rest of the 2026 season, keep your radar locked on Alex. She isn't just playing for herself anymore. She is competing with the king's blessing on her shoulders. She has got the weapons, she has got the mindset, and right now, she has got all the momentum. The surprise is over. The reality is here. And that reality is that Alexandra Eala is coming for the crown. Thanks for hanging out for this deep dive. If you dug this breakdown, smash that subscribe button. We are going to be tracking every single point of Eala'S 2026 campaign right here. So until the smoke clears later, keep your eyes fixed on the die.